give that honor and that assumption to someone like a Sheamus or a Wade Barrett, someone who is nowhere near the level of an Undertaker. Now, if they were to end the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania, you would think they would have someone who had a lot of history with the Undertaker come in and end the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania. And obviously the guy to do that will be someone like John Cena or Kane, because Kane has had a number of matches with the Undertaker, not just at WrestleMania, but throughout their both careers. They have had so many encounters, from Buried Alive matches to Hell in a Cell matches to even matches at WrestleMania, that have had something to do with the Undertaker's streak and him going so many years at WrestleMania being undefeated. Kane has the most history with the Undertaker, so obviously he is the choice to have the Undertaker's streak come to an end at the hands of, and the Undertaker has expressed a desire to lose his streak to Kane if there ever is a time where the Undertaker has to lose his streak and retire. And it's also believed that when the Undertaker loses his streak, he has nothing to be in WWE for again, and he will leave and retire when his streak comes to an end. Triple H said something in a very interesting promo a few years ago when he was promoting the Undertaker Triple H matches at WrestleManias 27 and 28. He said it's believed that when the Undertaker's streak dies, so does the Undertaker. And that's a very interesting way to put across the storyline of the Undertaker, making reference to the fact that his streak actually is what's keeping him in WWE, and when that's taken away from him, the Undertaker has nothing left. That was a very interesting way of promoting a match for the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and I really thought this year, in 2013, with everything happening for the Shield and the Brothers' destruction, the Undertaker was going to return at some point in 2013. Now, he probably will return a couple of months prior to WrestleMania, but that's probably the only time we're going to see him, and that opens up the door for the Undertaker to finalize the storyline with the Shield. It'll probably even go as far as being a 3-on-2 handicap match where the Undertaker and Kane will take on the Shield. Now, given Kane's direction of his character, the chances of that happening are pretty slim right now, but there is always the chance that Kane will revert to going back to wearing a mask and going back to his original state that he was previously, to being a general manager of Raw and SmackDown and helping out the Authority run WWE. So there is a chance Kane could revert to going back to being his original self. With all the bad reviews Kane has been getting on the internet, I've never read so many bad reviews about one particular character in the WWE as I have for Kane over the past couple of months. So there is the chance Kane could revert to going back to being a masked character and realigning himself with the Undertaker. The Undertaker to have something to do with Kane going back to his original state of mind, and we could see the Brothers Destruction reunite to take on the Shield. There is a chance of a 3-on-2 handicap match at WrestleMania, and there is a chance, I just referenced how the Undertaker could face a new talent, the YouTube superstar. There is a chance we could see Dean Ambrose, who's been taking an incredible amount of credit, more than any other Shield member, to ending the Undertaker's career over the past couple of months. We haven't seen the Undertaker since the Shield took him out, so there is a chance we could see a one-on-one match where Dean Ambrose fills the vacancy of being that new talent, the YouTube superstar, to face the Undertaker in a one-on-one match. And there is also a chance it could be for the United States Championship, although I don't see it being for a championship, because I mean, what is the Undertaker going to do with the United States title? It's not like he's going to defend it on a regular basis or hold it for a number of months. To be a champion, like an Intercontinental Champion or a United States Champion, you pretty much got to be there all the time. And right now, those honors are reserved for new talent, superstars who they are trying to create for tomorrow. So I don't see a U.S. title reign for the Undertaker anytime soon, and with plans to unify the Intercontinental and United States Championship coming up over the next couple of months, having the Undertaker be the United States Champion pretty much makes no sense. So if there was anything for the Undertaker to do with the Shield, more than having the Undertaker versus Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania, the Undertaker and Kane facing the Shield in the 3-on-2 handicap match is the obvious choice to have for the feud to go into that direction for the Undertaker this year at WrestleMania. There's always a chance, too, we could see the Undertaker versus Ryback, but I think we have a better chance of seeing Goldberg versus Ryback than the Undertaker versus Ryback, because the Undertaker and Ryback really have no issues, and really I don't see WWE making a good storyline out of Ryback versus the Undertaker with the time we have for WrestleMania. It's better to have the Undertaker feud with someone he either has history with or has had previous encounters with, because of the minimal amount of time that we had to promote for something for the Undertaker for WrestleMania this year. It's better to have the Undertaker versus Triple H for the 4th time than having the Undertaker versus Ryback, or having the Undertaker feud with someone who he has no history with. Like having the Undertaker face Bad News Barrett at WrestleMania would just be an excuse to have the Undertaker on the card, where he would pretty pretty much run through Bad News Barrett with no storyline, with no hype, with no promos. I mean, after an incredible match with The Undertaker and CM Punk last year, you just have to have a better match than what you had last year. You're going to have to try to top The Undertaker versus CM Punk, and with how good the psychology was of this match and the passing away of Paul Bearer a few months prior to WrestleMania, with how good everything fell into place so perfectly for The Undertaker versus CM Punk, you really got to go with a choice of The Undertaker versus The Rock versus John Cena versus Brock Lesnar or Dave Bautista. And obviously, WWE are going to be promoting Dave Bautista more so than any top superstar they have on their roster, with him coming back on the 20th of January in 2014. And one of the biggest ways I think of bringing Dave Bautista back is to either have him feud with Brock Lesnar, who he has a lot of history with from the MMA world and the WWE in previous years, or having Dave Bautista feud with The Undertaker, who he also has faced at WrestleMania 23 back in 2007. Remember how The Undertaker took the World Championship from Dave Bautista. There is that history there, and there is a chance WWE could repeat history by having Dave Bautista face The Undertaker. Maybe not in a championship match, because again of the minimum amount of time they had to promote something for The Undertaker they showed at WrestleMania, but there is the chance we could have history repeat itself with the series of matches we saw from '07 between The Undertaker and Dave Bautista. And of course there is also the chance that Brock Lesnar will face The Undertaker after years of speculation. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have read a news item on ProWrestling.com, ProWrestling.net, PW Insider, PW Torch, of how The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar was wanted to be had by WWE officials for years. WWE were trying to sign Brock Lesnar to have him come in and face The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and that's why they went with matches like Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker and Triple H versus The Undertaker, because they wanted to start having emphasis on The Undertaker's streak, and they wanted to pose some threats to The Undertaker's streak, and they believed by having Brock Lesnar come in after having a feud with The Undertaker in the early thousands in 2002, 2003, that would have been the most effective way to put The Undertaker's streak in a jeopardizable situation, and it probably still would be the most effective way of doing it. But Brock Lesnar facing The Undertaker is also a chance this year because of how critical this year's WrestleMania is, being the 30th WrestleMania. We have to have a huge opponent for The Undertaker. Going back to what I said here earlier, the obvious choices is to have The Undertaker face a new talent superstar who he will create for tomorrow and ensure the success of. But I really want to see The Undertaker have an opponent that would actually put The Undertaker over as much as The Undertaker will put them over, because usually over the past 21 years, over 2 decades, The Undertaker's put over a new talent superstar or someone new coming into the business, like he did for Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21. Randy Orton gave The Undertaker a run for his money, and that's why it was beyond me why they didn't have The Undertaker face Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21, with how minimal of creativity was going on for Randy Orton earlier on this year. Now, WWE had plans of making Randy Orton into a superstar and a champion later on that year, but when The Undertaker faced CM Punk at WrestleMania, it was almost as if WWE had nothing going for Randy Orton. It was beyond me why, given their history, they didn't have Randy Orton win that fatal 4-way match on that old school edition of Raw to determine The Undertaker's opponent at WrestleMania. Because you think about it, Randy Orton, with how good he is now against The Undertaker, I mean, it's a far different Randy Orton from what we saw in 2005. It wasn't the same Randy Orton. The psychology of Randy Orton's character was awesome. Just the feel and presence of Randy Orton's character was awesome. And out of the 4 choices we had this year to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania, from the Big Show to Randy Orton to CM Punk, either CM Punk or Randy Orton for me would have been a perfect opponent for The Undertaker to have. But obviously the storyline wanted to put over the longest reigning champion of the last 25 years, who had an understanding of how to defeat The Undertaker and have previous matches with The Undertaker, from one-on-one matches to Hell in a Cell matches where The Undertaker actually defeated CM Punk to win the World Heavyweight Championship and rekindle his glory years. Obviously, with how CM Punk had held the championship longer than anyone over the past 25 years, a quarter of a century, the story path was the longest reigning champion in the last 25 years going up against the longest winning streak of WrestleMania history. So that's the choice they made. But preferably for fans of Randy Orton, a lot of fans wanted to see Randy Orton versus The Undertaker for just a second time at WrestleMania, with how much history has repeated itself for The Undertaker's streak over the past 5 years. For the last half of the decade, WWE have derived a series of matches from history he's had with superstars like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, which he has had an incredible amount of history with, and he's really brought the best out of both of himself and his opponents over the last 5 years. So you would have expected to see Randy Orton versus The Undertaker, and there still is a chance we could see Randy Orton versus The Undertaker this year if Randy Orton loses the WWE Unified Championship sometime between now and WrestleMania. Either way you want to look at it, there is an incredible amount of diversity and an incredible amount of choices that can be made when you're trying to determine who The Undertaker's opponent will be this year at WrestleMania. I would love for The Rock to be The Undertaker's opponent. The more I think about it, because of how much minimal time they have to promote something for The Undertaker this year at WrestleMania, and with how we haven't seen The Rock for almost over a year. It's almost been 1 year in full since we've seen The Rock in the WWE, and obviously when The Rock comes back, he's not going to be challenging for the WWE Championship unless something that has something to do with Randy Orton retiring and inducting himself into the Hall of Fame falls perfectly into place. The Rock comes out after Randy Orton declares himself to be the greatest of all time, and The Rock comes out rock bottoming Randy Orton and challenging him without having to win the Royal Rumble, provided if Randy Orton becomes the first champion in history to hold the title, enter the Royal Rumble, and win the Royal Rumble. Will have no number one contender for the championship. Here comes The Rock to fill the vacancy of the number one contender spot. He wins the Elimination Chamber match just to have an excuse to have to become the number one contender for the title at WrestleMania. Then we have The Rock versus Randy Orton. If that does not happen, then having The Rock come back and challenging The Undertaker streak is the easiest way for The Rock to get on the WrestleMania 30 card, and it would end up being the biggest match of WrestleMania history in my opinion, and it will probably once again be voted as one of 4 matches of the year for 2014 Slammy Awards. That would be the fastest way of getting The Rock into WrestleMania and giving him something to do to put over what he's got going on outside of the business, from films he's working on to projects outside of the WWE, because a minimal amount of time that would be perfect, and that would give something for The Rock to do. And if not that, we'll see The Rock versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship. Right now I don't see The Undertaker versus Dave Bautista or The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, but they are still choices given the history The Undertaker has with both Lesnar and Bautista, and there is a chance that it could happen. But I want to know what your opinion is of The Undertaker and who his opponent will be. Would you much rather see The Undertaker face a new talent than some superstar? The storyline probably wouldn't be as detailed as The Undertaker versus Batista or The Undertaker versus Lesnar, and that is a real down point of seeing The Undertaker face someone like Wade Barrett or Sheamus, who